Welcome back to Paisal for Season 2. This is the first episode and I am your co-host Paige and this is...
Jessal.
Welcome back, Jessal. It's lovely to see you again. Thanks for coming back on our show.
I have nowhere to go.
Sounds like you're a prisoner.
No, I'm at home.
Me too. What a coincidence.
Oh, boy.
We have a lot planned to take you through for this season. So it will probably be a longer season than the first 8 episodes of the pilot season.
I don't think you have a pilot season. You only have a pilot episode.
You would know.
I'm sure you've watched more TV shows than me.
Was it Community where they had the re-pilot?
Yes.
We will be loosely following the adventures of our cartoon versions in this, the Paisal Files Volume 2 that I created for Jessal.
For us.
For both of us. It begins with our adorable couple on a quiet island where they could look up and see the stars. Very romantical.
Sure.
You didn't think it was romantical?
It was.
Why'd you say sure?
I agree.
But it sounded like sarcasm.
No, sure. It's sarcasm.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. It is a pleasure to be back with you.
You talking to me?
No, I'm talking to the audience now.
Oh, okay.
Something that I've realized in the last few weeks, there were things that kind of happened during the last episode, like in between some of the events that we talked about. There were things that happened that we didn't talk about that happened at the same time or throughout the events of that episode, because we covered quite a lot. And I thought it would be really nice to take a step back, travel back through time a bit further before we go back to the future. And
You mean to the present?
actually it's still the past, because we're technically in real life as we are recording the first episode of season 2. We are in season 4 of our actual life.
Yes.
So we're kind of going back into content that technically occurred during season 1, and then we'll be jumping back to season 2 content. But as we will be doing it from season 4,
It's the present for us.
but we'll never be talking about the present.
But we are in the present.
We
The
are in
audience
the
is
present.
past.
But if you're listening to this, you are in our future. You are in the future, because as I'm saying this, you haven't actually listened to this yet. So we're actually in the past, even though we're in the future.
Okay, I'm giving up.
Moving on. I knew I'd get him eventually.
No, I mean, we can keep going if you want. But then you'll be annoyed that we didn't stop and we don't have any content for the podcast.
I don't know how we put up with each other. We're both quite annoying.
Put up means staying together, right?
I think put up with each other means
No, that's... Put
you
up,
tolerate each other even though you're an inconvenience.
no, I only
I don't know what you're
specifically
saying.
said put up,
Put up.
not put up with each other.
Well, you can put up a tent. You can put up a bank. Put up. This is a put up.
Or is it...
It's a hold up or a stand up.
What's the slang for staying together then?
Shacking up.
No, to stay somewhere for the night.
Or you can put someone up, like you put them up in a hotel, or you put them up for the night in your spare room on your sofa or something.
Yeah, I guess. So it's not actually staying together. I was wrong.
Ha. I don't know why ha-ed that.
Because you rarely get to do that.
I'm rarely right.
That's not right.
Even then I was not right.
That was on purpose though.
Me. So, Jessal,
Yes.
do you remember? It's a long time ago now for both of us, but there was a time when we had to have that first face-to-face interaction with each other's parents. Do you know which one came first? This is not a chicken or egg situation. There was legitimately one meeting that happened before the other meeting.
Did you meet my parents? We weren't staying together when you met my parents.
We weren't staying together when we met my parents either.
Where did we meet your parents? I thought
We met them at Three Monkeys,
Oh, yes, that's right. That was the first time. And then at the Chinese restaurant.
where you met Jaja before she passed away.
Yeah. I think that was... Yeah.
I'm feeling confused about which one was first, because I think because I associate both with the train trip. My parents had gone on a train trip, which is why I brought up a train trip as an idea, but I don't think we saw them in person before the train trip. I think that was just your parents.
Yeah, I think from what I remember, the meeting at Three Monkeys was basically them showing photos of their trip to South America. I don't know when that was. I'm very bad with dates.
For the sake of structure, let's talk about meeting your parents first, and then we can move on to my parents.
I met my parents when I was born.
Be a bit awkward if you remember that whole scenario.
No, I don't.
That's good. I don't remember mine either. Actually, for a long time, I was convinced that I wasn't actually a product of my parents because I felt so different to them. As usual, I digress. Do you remember the feelings associated with introducing me to your parents in person for the first time?
Anxious. I knew you would get along with my mum. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, anxious would be the main thing.
I was very anxious as well.
Yeah, I'm sure you were way more anxious than me.
At that time, I had been pet sitting in Nunda, looking after a long-haired chihuahua.
Oh, right, I remember that.
Yeah. I was feeling so anxious about meeting Jessal's parents, and I was feeling anxious about looking good enough and pretty. I got some facial wax strips to get rid of the little hairs that most women actually have above their lip and on their chin to varying degrees, and generally it's just, fine blonde hair, but I just happen to be much more sensitive about that, I think, because I know that there have been a lot of people who study my face and try to find confirmation of my past in my face. People have actually said that to me, that they've been looking for that, or they've had an aha moment and they're like, haha, yeah, here's some proof in your face of your previous identity. Unnecessary. It has made me very, very particular about my face. All of these things were going around in my mind a lot, making me a lot more anxious. The whole idea of meeting future in-laws when they know a lot about my past, that made me incredibly anxious, even though ultimately it was a good thing that, they knew about me up front. I wasn't going to have to worry about accidentally disclosing something or embarrassing Jessal or causing an awkward situation, because we had been open and honest from the beginning. But I was still very, very anxious about being good enough. So I bought facial wax strips, and my white fragile skin,
Continue before I say anything,
became burnt in a few areas. I had little burnt patches above my upper lip and on my chin in the exact places where I was feeling worried about there being hair. There were now burns.
I don't know if it was just your skin being fragile. It may have been you left it on for too long.
We'll never know.
What was the other thing that you left on for too long?
Charcoal mask.
Ah, right, yes.
Would you like to tell that story?
When was that?
I was looking after Persephone, the Quaker, at Upper Mount Gravatt.
Yeah, I know that. But when was it? In the second year?
I think that was in the first year. Both of these situations were in the first year before. Yeah.
So that basically gave me an idea. All right, and the the other thing I was going to say about that situation, not the mask, the strips and the scars thing, the burns, was, you can call that in a typical Paige situation, where trying to do something to fix a problem that isn't a big problem but ends up being the other way around, where it's a problem but not for the reason that it started out as.
All I have to say about that, Jessal knows me.
I think I explained it all right.
Yes.
Okay.
Jessal had made me feel comfortable being able to leave the house without putting lots of makeup on, because of this situation, I ended up having to go back to putting foundation on to cover up the burns to make them less subtle, except then the foundation, I think, was interacting with the burn and making them flake.
Yeah.
So I had redder, flakier skin than usual instead of just very subtle blonde facial hairs.
I guess now everyone's getting an idea of compounding issues that happened. Yeah, so I let my mom know what had happened. So they weren't like, oh no, what happened?
I've had a lot of experience with people saying, oh, what happened to your face in these sorts of situations. So it's good that that didn't happen the first time we met each other, because I think a first impression does seem to mean a lot. That was our first interaction face to face. Do you remember other details of that first meeting?
We met up at a restaurant for dinner.
The same restaurant where we first met.
Yes. I don't remember what we had to eat. Like a pizza or something.
That's where your mum told me that when you're at a place, you can just ask for a little plate of chili on the side.
Ah, yes. What is it called? Enabling?
Chili addiction. I was trying to join chili and addiction together into one word, but like childiction or something.
No.
It's chilliction.
No. You're still thinking? A dilly?
Chilladilly.
I don't think it's worth it.
The amusing thing about that first meeting was it was only a couple of days before our train trip vacation. I went back, I think, and had 1 or 2 more nights looking after the long-haired chihuahua. The night before the train trip, I stayed in the townhouse with you and your parents, who I had just met. That was super confronting for me.
Confronting in what way?
Well, I had only just met them once, and then I was staying with them in their house. We were in each other's space, very personal space. So, yeah, it was fine. It was fine. But it was not like it would be now. It would just be normal.
Yep. You had some good food.
Yeah, your mum made amazing food. Some curries, roti.
No, it's a small fulia.
Fulia, oh, I love them. I don't think I've had them since.
No.
Can you describe them for the audience?
No. I don't know how to describe them.
It's a little bready dumpling type thing.
I don't think that describes them well.
Well, I tried. You're not helping.
Well, I already said it. It's hard to describe.
How do we get anything done? I'm going to have some of your water.
I can't believe it. What am I going to drink?
Yum. That is nice water. Actually, I was seeing that the city that we live in, apparently we have a very earthy quality to our water compared with other Australian cities.
What are they doing to the water then?
I don't know. Probably not doing as much to it. I feel like earthy water is natural, like it's just natural. It literally sits in soil. So I think the further you get away from that earthy flavour, the less natural it is.
I don't know. I have no way of knowing any of that.
I just have a lot of opinions and ideas and feelings. I have lots of feelings.
I know.
I just have so many feelings. That's a Mean Girls quote.
You don't have any emotions?
Do you think that feelings and emotions are different?
Maybe.
How so?
I don't know. I just feel it. Did you read it?
No. Would you like to read that aloud?
Emotions are associated with bodily reactions that are activated through neurotransmitters and hormones released by the brain. Feelings are the conscious experience of emotional reactions.
Interesting.
So emotions are physical and feelings are psychological. I don't know. What's the word?
I think psychological or mental or cognitive.
I wouldn't say mental.
Is that just because the word mental has been misused?
Yes.
And that misuse has caused stigma of mental illness?
No, mental illness is okay. Just saying mental. Just saying someone is mental is not.
But do you think saying someone is mental is stigmatizing mental illness?
No.
Or you think it's just completely misusing the term? Okay. For those who are listening, Jessal nodded.
Yes. Just saying yes so that doesn't seem like Paige is just saying that I did say yes.
Yeah, I could just do an entire podcast without Jessal actually here. And I'd just say, oh yeah, Jessal can't talk at the moment, but he's doing this reaction and that reaction. And I guess that's what this means. I wouldn't do that.
I mean, that would be boring for you.
Actually, I think that would be quite entertaining for me. It
Okay.
probably wouldn't be that interesting for the audience. And I think it would be quite disrespectful.
I mean,
which is why I won't do it.
I can sit here while you do that.
No. I mean, the fact that you just gave me permission just took anything fun away from it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was quite a while later, or maybe a few months later, that you met my parents.
I really can't remember. I have a hard time trying to figure out where an event is unless I know which month it was in.
This is one of the reasons. No, not one of the reasons. This is just one of the things that validates me putting every single thing into either the calendar or a spreadsheet. But I'm determined not to spend the whole time just looking these things up.
Oh, that was a good way of explaining it.
We can sort of use deduction. I know where we went to. We went to a cafe that has a little area out the back. This is in West End, in the inner southern suburbs of Brisbane. I had my olive green dress on that was fairly new at that point. I believe I purchased that when I was staying at an Airbnb for a few days, and it was around the time that your cousin had an 18th or a 30th. It might have been your brother's birthday, actually. Did your brother turn 30 a few years ago?
Not in the second half of the year.
Well, it wasn't necessarily in the second half of the year that we met them. We might have met them early in the year.
But
We're talking about my parents, not yours.
Yeah, but you said we met your parents after you met my parents, or was it the other way around?
We met your parents in August.
Yeah.
I think it was the following year
Okay.
that you met my parents.
2018.
2019? 2020? Oh no, we must have done it
The train
beforehand.
trip was in 2019. So it would have been earlier in the year.
So maybe we met my parents first.
Yeah. If it was in the first half of the year, then yes.
Okay.
Because we started seeing each other in November 2018, so it's not much. It's probably 6-7 months until the train trip.
Yeah, it was very quick. Did you meet my parents and Jaja at the same time?
Both
Okay.
times.
Yes, both times. Okay. So that is my mum's mum, and she passed away just at the beginning of 2020, I think. But I do remember for quite a few decades her saying this particular age, and I'm not going to say it on the podcast, but she was like, you know, that's when it will be good for me to go. And it was the last day of that year that she passed away. That was quite interesting. She had ruminated. I don't know if ruminated is the right word, but she had so focused on dying at that age for so long and almost lived to 1 year more, but didn't. Just, yeah. Quite fascinating. So it was the five of us, which was quite interesting. Jaja had deteriorated a lot at that point. So she was quite quiet, which is what it was like for the last few years. But my mum and dad were very talkative. And I think you got an idea about my mum, her demeanour or her personality.
That it was similar to yours?
I thought that you thought that it was similar to your mum.
Oh yeah, that as well. But then now you do have similar traits as well.
Me and my mum?
I said that she was similar.
It's interesting, or has been interesting for me, getting to know my parents again as I approach middle age, just relating to them in a different way. It's quite interesting. But it went well. They loved you. I think they thought you were very, very lovely and respectful, and you seemed nice and gentle with me, which was an important thing. Multiple people in my life who met you picked up that you're not likely to physically hurt me or anything like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that would be something that would, I don't know what to say. It's something I would never have thought of.
Well, I feel loved and supported and respected, unlike what I just did to this plant back here, and I just kind of smacked it around a bit. So thank you for being supportive.
Ditto.
And thank you, audience, for listening. Thank you for joining us on this journey as we take you through the first few years of our relationship. We have a lot coming up in this season. The end of my homelessness, some different challenges associated with moving forward in our relationship, some more wonderful times together, different experiences that we got to go through together. All right, it's time to say goodbye for the moment.
Thank you for joining us, if you did.
If you're hearing this, we're assuming you joined us.